for some action. Come on, let's go. Life is in life with the boys. People in the ring, in up all the joys. Parlays from the grill, we ready to feast. Getting beat up, can you feel the heat? Lights in life with the boys. People in the ring with the real McCoy. Let's listen to the funky beat, grooving all night. If you like some beat, life's feeling alright. Rolling in action, doing it like it is an easy reverse. Beat boy, MMA, the beef is getting thicker. Transparency, lots and lots with the boys. Subscribe for the beef and then me making some noise. Oh yeah, boy, shut out, it's a battle for the crown. Roman versus Cassidy, who's gonna take it down? Luck, it's an easy rippers, they bring in the heat. Subscribe for the beef and me, it's a tasty.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
Take two, Meat Boy. We got to restock the cooler on that one. And right away, before we even jump into the breakdowns, thoughts on last week, or 2 weeks ago, I guess last week we had no UFC. 2 weeks ago, though, UFC 297. Much discussed after the fact, Strickland versus DDP, some controversy. DDP gets the split decision win. Did you agree with the call? What were your thoughts on that meat event?
You know, meat event was solid. I thought DDP won, 3, 4, 5. You know, other judges saw it totally different than me, but they still had him winning 3 of the 5 rounds, just different rounds than I thought. I just don't know how. Obviously, Strickland was number 1, dominated round 1. Number 2, I thought he also dominated, but apparently a few judges gave it to him, to DDP in round 2. So a lot of mixed opinions, but yet same outcome. Except Dana White saw a totally different fight than what I saw. He thought Strickland won the whole dang thing, which I guess a lot of other people. So it's very crazy to see the judges saw a totally different fight, the owner saw a totally different fight, and the Meat Boys saw a totally different fight. So it's pretty crazy to see, but lots of mixed opinions, but definitely no robbery.
Yeah, 100%. I think that the Sean Strickland fans, and there's clearly a lot of them, I think that all of them who are screaming robbery are a little silly. I actually thought the exact same way Dana did. I thought it was 2-2 heading into that 5th round, and then I thought the last minute, and I think this is where you and I differed, I thought the last minute was enough to give Strickland that 5th round. I thought he put it on him, landed those heavier strikes down the stretch, thought he had more aggression at the end. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, the judges were all over the place. It was a split decision, 3-2 for 2 judges for DDP, and 3-2 for Strickland in the other direction, but no round uniformity. They were all over the place. Nonetheless, a great fight. And what do you think's next for DDP? I mean, any chance they put together DDP versus Izzy at UFC 300, or is that a pipe dream?
Might be a pipe dream. I know DDP is definitely not one to jump on opportunities, and now that he's a champ, he's definitely going to take his sweet time. So he's going to go on his time, not Izzy's time, which is unfortunate because if Izzy came back for 300, that'd be so sweet to see DDP for that. But DDP said he wants a long vacation, so we are looking at possibly a very mildly active champ, not like Izzy where he's fighting 2-3 times a year, maybe once a year. That's kind of the vibe I get. I hope I'm wrong though, but we'll see.
Yeah, it might be Speedos on the beach with Coach, a long break for DDP, and that quick turnaround isn't necessarily happening, but fingers crossed for sure. And again, you picked DDP to win that one on Meat Boy. I had Strickland, so I dropped the split on that one. And then in the co-meet, I had MBS. She absolutely got smoked, fell asleep in the 3rd round, essentially had nothing left in rounds 4 and 5. You were all over Rocky Pennington, so what were your thoughts on the co-meet, and what are your thoughts on Rocky as the new champ?
Yeah, Pennington City absolutely came through. A little surprised, a little not, because I did pick her, but also I'm like, man, I just don't see her as a champion. But I guess when Nunes is gone, any of these girls in the division could be because they're just that not competitive. But Rocky did what she came to do. She's an OG, she's a veteran, and she showed that she's been there with the best of the best. And Bueno was not the one, so no Bueno there. Truly unfortunate. They were trying to replace one Brazilian with another, and that didn't go their way. But she looked great. She beat Bueno pretty easily, I thought. It was a fun fight, I guess. Very curious to see where it goes. I think Kayla Harrison's coming in at a hot moment and can have an easy ride to the title. One dominant victory versus Holly Holmes. She's fighting for that title, and she'll be the next GOAT of that division.
Yeah, 100%. You got to imagine they're trying to set that up for sure. Again, Kayla Harrison meets Holly Holm at UFC 300 in a couple months. Holly Holm's like a plus 400 dog. Harrison's around minus 400. So the odds makers think that she's going to waltz in from the PFL, smoke the 52-year-old Holly Holm, and then eventually get a title shot against Rocky Pennington. But there's some question marks surrounding that UFC 300 fight. I mean, any chance Kayla Harrison makes 135? First of all, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll put it like that, because that is one of the thickest girls I have ever seen. Just so dang jacked. She's gonna have to lose so much muscle, a little fat here and there, but man, she's just a big girl. She's probably like 270, walks around, cuts to 145, 135. She's going to be so shredded. It's gonna be crazy if she makes it.
Yeah, she's a beast for sure. And my research yielded the last time she was competing in any sort of combat around that weight was when she was like 17 years old, competing in judo tournaments at around 137. So the fact that she's getting down to 135 to me will be interesting. And against Holly Holm should be fun. But either way, it's a good opportunity for her. And then we'll see what Pennington's made out of and if she can, replicate what she did against MBS. Because you said that fight wasn't that close. And it really wasn't. The first couple rounds were competitive, but once Buena Silva gassed out, Pennington just really out veteraned her, outmaneuvered her, and really highlighted that decade plus of UFC experience in route to a ship. So respect to Pennington. We'd be remiss if we didn't touch on the Meatlock Meat Boy. Not a good one for us. Charles Jourdain ended up dropping a split decision. We had him winning over Sean the Sniper Woodson, but I mean the verdict read split decision. But if we're being transparent, that's what the Meat Boys are all about. That fight was non-competitive. It was not close. Charles Jourdain got absolutely smoked. So what were your thoughts on that one? We missed it, obviously. Where were we off, and what does that mean for both Jourdain and Sean Woodson?
Yeah, way off on that one, and I don't know if Jourdain peaked or if the Sniper Woodson absolutely leveled up, because Jourdain, I thought he was a pretty darn good fighter. I mean, he beat Andre Fili, which Andre Fili's no joke, but the way he looked there, it's like I think Andre Fili would ragdoll him nowadays. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see if one leveled up and one just didn't, or maybe he's on his downfall here. He peaked. But I guess we'll find out in their next fight. That's really the only way. And MMA math is not a thing, and it's crazy. MMA is a crazy game.
Yeah, when in doubt, fade MMA math for sure. And I think Woodson is kind of peaking, and Jordan may be plateaued. And we were mentioned earlier, maybe a Sean Woodson versus Andre Fili fight makes sense next. And that'll really tell us where he's at, because we see Fili sort of like the Neil Magny of the division. And speaking of Neil Magny, I went 1 for 5 last week, so not a lot to brag about. You went 3-3, so not the best weekend for the Meat Boys, but we were all over Neil Magny, plus 285 as a dog, and then we even said that he'd win by round 3 finish, which is precisely what he did. So, referencing Neil Magny, fought against Mike Malott, aka Mike Malak. What were your thoughts on that one? Magny came through for the boys, eh?
Yeah, Magny definitely came through for the boys. Yeah, Mike Meatlock is not a Meatlock. He's a Malak. Lacking ability, and honestly, he's lacking meat, so he probably needs to eat some more meat. Over there in Canada, he seemed weak. He seemed slow. He gassed out in 2 seconds. I mean, he literally gave up versus Maglock. He is not the next Ian Gary. He's just, he's a Canadian hype train that got derailed pretty embarrassingly, if I have to say. Like, that was pretty bad. Like, to lose because of your gas tank and then just crawl over it and crumble when you're confident saying, oh, I'm going to submit him so easily. It wasn't even close. It was just like, oh, that's just a brutal one. So I feel bad for the Canadian fans. I feel bad for the hype train. But Magny's a G, man, and he's a good man, so he definitely deserves that dub, and happy to see it.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And I remember, we were surprised by all of the Mike Malott submission backers on Tapology. If you remember, it was like 90% of Tapology was rolling with Meatlack, and in the end, it was they all picked him by submission, and we were like, I mean, Ian Gary couldn't barely submit, like couldn't even finish him. Is Mike Meatlack going to be able to do it? We didn't think so, and to Malak's credit, I mean, he was winning those early rounds, but as soon as he gassed out, I mean, there was only 20 seconds left. So if he somehow mustered some sort of strength to be able to survive, then he would have been able to escape with the decision. But he literally had nothing left. The tank was on E. He came out to some 41 fat lip and ended up being in too deep and rolling out with one himself. But nonetheless, we are all over that one. And like you said, a great win for Maglock, Lack, and Maylock. I absolutely had nothing left in the head on that one. So any last thoughts on that one?
No, it was just one of those truly unfortunate fights for the Canadian fans.
Yeah, truly unfortunate, no doubt. And it was kind of like the hype train of Marc-Andre Barriault early in his career, where everyone's like, this is the guy, this is the next GSP. And then he kind of gets humbled, and Powerbar even lost to Chris Curtis on that fight card. But nothing really to discuss there. Nonetheless, 1 for 5 week for your boy, 3-3 for you. Should we transition into Dolidze versus Imavov and get this meatlock rolling?
Yes, absolutely. This is another meatlock once again.
Yeah, 100%. Another absolute meatlock. We got our boy, the Black Wolf, Aliaskhab Shizrev, aka Aliaskhab, 14-0, taking on Mahmoud Muradov. You might know him as Mock. You might know him as a TMT Floyd Mayweather money team fighter. But as far as my recon is concerned, me boy, and you guys will have to comment down below if I'm missing something, but I'm not seeing much Mahmoud Muradov TMT pumping anymore. I don't know if Floyd cut ties after that 2 fight L streak, or as soon as GM3 locked in that rear naked choke, maybe he dropped him. Not sure, but nonetheless, Mahmoud Muradov is 26-8, 4-2 in the UFC, and he is coming off a nice recent win over Brian Barberena. And that was a fight against Barberena where Barberena is probably fighting up at least a weight class, probably 2 weight classes. So for a huge jacked muscle shark like Mach to get that one done, I think was to be expected. But he did sort of rectify some cardio issues that we were concerned about. However, he's able to do that against a guy like Bam Bam Barberena. This is the Black Wolf, aka Snorlax, Aliaskhab Shizrev, who is undefeated, is going out there taking guys down and absolutely smushing them. And when we've seen Mock struggle, it's been against guys who take you down and hold you down, similar to what Kyle Bahalio did. So, what are your thoughts on this one? Minus 180 is Aliaskhab Shizrev. Meatlock for a reason. How do you think he gets this one done over Mock?
You know, hey, they don't call him Snorlax for no reason. I think he's going to smother him. He's going to lay on him. He's going to gas out the 2 pump chump, and he's going to get the easy W, TKO, or submission on the ground. That's how I see it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I like that too. I don't think that Muradov has any flute playing skills. And if we look at Tapology, 85% is rolling with Shizrev, only 15% is going with Mock. So even though Mock has more UFC experience, everyone sees what Aliaskhab Shizrev is bringing as this undefeated Black Wolf hype beast. I mean, the last time we had an undefeated hype beast fighter named the Wolf, it was Hamza. And some believe that Aliaskhab Shizrev might be in that conversation heading into 2024 as far as exciting undefeated prospects are concerned. And we're getting him at minus 180 here, meat boy. And I think that moving forward, Shizreev's going to be minus 350, minus 400. The odds aren't going to be great. So while Muradov is a tough competitive opponent, Shizreev should be an absolute lock in this one. And Tapology obviously agrees with us. 85% Shizreev, 15 Muradov. You said by finish?
Yeah, I think it is going to be by finish. I think it's going to be the later round, second or third, but definitely by finish, in my opinion.
Yeah, finish sounds good. And, this is a guy just to, sort of wrap up Shizrev. The UFC has tried to put this guy in against a lot of different tough, already, top 15, top 20 guys. This guy was supposed to fight your boy Fofao, was supposed to fight a peak Kyle Dawkins, Abus Magomedov, and then recently he was even scheduled to fight Jacob Malkoun, and that fight fell through. That one would have been pretty interesting because Malkoun brings a similar skill set. But nonetheless, it's Muradov. We have Shizrev as a meatlock in this one, so trying to get back on track from the Air Jordan fumble from last week. But nonetheless, we're throwing down 180, gonna net 100, get us that 91st meatlock, and Shizrev comes through for the boys. Any last thoughts on that one?
No, this is going to be a fun fight, though, nonetheless. I can't wait for an absolute meatlock. We're going to bounce back with this one. We got Snorlax. He's coming in through.
Yeah, he's coming in, and Silva versus Araujo, we can head right to it, is next. Natalia Silva, height beast Brazilian, minus 345 are her odds, taking on Viviane Araujo, who is plus 275. And Araujo is a 10-fight UFC veteran, right? She's 6-4, but she's lost 2 of 3. She's almost 38 years old, and she's fighting against the undefeated in the UFC fighter, Natalia Silva, who is 10 years younger. And if you go skill set for skill set, they're probably pretty close, whether it's the striking, whether it's the jiu-jitsu, but Natalia Silva has the 10-year edge on Araujo, and the odds sort of reflect that. So what are your thoughts on this one? It's sort of a Brazilian hype beast versus Brazilian levels test. You taking the hype train, or is this going to be too much?
I gotta take the hype train on this one. I don't like the odds per se, but I do like what I'm seeing. I like the youth. I like the skill. I like the people she's training with. Um, the veteran could get it done like a Raquel Pennington. A nice Benjamin City upset, but I don't know, man. She's like going on 50. I don't really like what I'm seeing, but yeah, I just can't go with that. I gotta pick the hype train on this one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, this is a woman in Silva who, again, is 4-0 in the UFC, and she's really been smoking all of her opponents. And I think her debut win has kind of been hidden, but recently is really starting to rear its head as a very impressive win. She took out Jasmine Jasdavicius, easy light work, unanimous decision in her debut. And since then, Jasdavicius on absolute tear. She just broke a record last UFC card for most strikes landed in a 115 women's contest. So Jasdavicius is right up there, and Silva made easy light work of her. She followed up with two finishes over really bad fighters in Teresa Bleda and Victoria Leonardo, and then most recently it was that level her basically her first real levels test in the UFC against KGB Lee, and she passed that with flying colors. She looked fast. KGB Lee was eating shots that whole time and really had nothing for her. So that to me kind of said, okay, Silva's really no joke here. So against Viviana Araujo, it's probably going to be more of the same. Tapology sees it that way, right? 92% going with Silva, 8% out of Ujo. It's based on both sides, though. Do you think a decision's likely for Silva or any chance he picks up a finish?
Man, it's definitely a tough one. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes to decision. Most of these girls go to decision, but she's had some good performances versus a few tomato cans. Maybe she gets the job done.
Yeah, maybe she gets a finish. We haven't seen Araujo get finished in the UFC. She's only ever dropped decision, so it would be a first UFC finish loss for Araujo if Silva can get that done. But Silva by decision is probably safest, and I gotta imagine it'll be around minus 125, minus 135 for Silva to win by specific decision. But nonetheless, we're both going Silva on that one. Any last thoughts on the beef here?
No, it's a fun fight. It's interesting to see if there's gonna be a new hot prospect in this division or another upset Maylock.
Featherweight fire here, meat boy. It's the return of our boy Blake the Builder, who is trying to avenge his first UFC loss. It happened a few months ago against Kyle Nelson, the Monster, and the Monster is pretty solid levels test, so not the worst loss. And we're actually trying to get Blake Builder on the Meatcast here, but homie is locked in right now, not doing any interviews. So do you think he's coming ready in this one? I mean, he's taking on Jung Young Lee, who last time he fought in the UFC was a split decision win over Yi Jia, who one of the few UFC fighters to only ever have one name and be in the UFC. But nonetheless, we know Jung Young Lee as this guy who was coming through road to UFC, and this guy's definitely no Rinya Nakamura as far as like hype beast and potential is concerned. But the guy is looking pretty nice, and Blake the Builder, meanwhile, again, we would have loved to connect with him, but homie's busy. You don't know where he's at right now. So is Blake the Builder coming in just absolutely locked in and Jung Young Lee's getting smoked in this one? Or did Kyle Nelson expose our boy?
But yeah, my boy, he's coming absolutely through. He had a little hiccup with Mr. Nelson over there, but that's never happened again. He's coming back, nothing but W's. Blake Builder for the win, for sure.
Yeah, it's good matchmaking in this one because both guys definitely do need a win, but minus 148 is Jung Young Lee. He's the slight favorite, and around plus 125 is Blake the Builder. So it seems like the fans have decided to jump ship on our boy, but you seem convinced that he's coming back stronger, better than ever. Tapology, though, is pretty bullish on Lee. 76% is rolling with him, only 24 is rolling with Blake the Builder. A lot of beige on both sides. If you're taking Blake, does he win a decision in this one, or is he picking up a finish over Lee?
I think he does get a finish. I think he's going to get a submission or a TKO. I really like what I've been seeing in his training footage recently, and this guy is a motivated young lad. He's going to come in there guns blazing, sharper than ever, stronger than ever, better cardio than ever, and I think he's going to put a pace on that no one's ever going to expect. So I love to see him as a dog. I'm capitalizing.
Yeah, I do worry about the reach of the Korean Tiger, Jung Young Lee, because I mean, if he has a speed advantage, maybe he'll have that reach to boot with it. El Animal also is 5 years older than our boy, the Korean Tiger. So, and this will be, boy, I don't know. Last pitch on Blake the Builder. How does he get this one done over Lee?
You know, if he does get it done, I think it's going to be a submission early and often. Maybe a TKO on the ground. But man, I would love to see a standing knockout first 60 seconds. Oof, that would be a great, a great way to start the new year.
Yeah, you'd love to see it, and I'm gonna roll with you. I'm gonna roll with the homie Blake Builder. We can't jump ship yet, and after he picks up this win against the Korean Tiger, hopefully we can connect with him because we had some interesting questions planned for El Animal. So if we can get him on the meat cast, that'd be pretty fun. Builder by submissions, the call. Any last thoughts?
No, this is a great fight, fun fight nonetheless. Don't let the comments taking a why, and smash that meat subscribe.
It's the Rude Boy versus Muslim Salikov, aka the Kung Fu Panda, and this one should be interesting, Meat Boy, because Randy Brown, I mean, he did lose to Jack Della, but besides that hiccup, I mean, this dude's won 5 of his last 6, and most recently he rebounded from that Jack Della debacle and smoked your boy Turman Fofao in a unanimous easy light work decision. So I'm curious to see if he can keep a new win streak going and can take out Muslim, who has lost 2 of 3, and I think most surprisingly, at least to some, was his most recent competition against Nicholas Dalby, where he was a decent favorite, but Dalby kind of really put it on him and showed everyone that Dalby is no joke for sure. And then he also had that loss to the Leech before that, where he got absolutely finished, but then in between that, he spinning wheels kicks Andre Fiallo, and obviously Andre Fiallo hasn't won a fight in many many years, but either way, it was a reminder of the talent that Muslim has on the feet. So in this one, I gotta imagine that these guys are gonna come to strike. Randy Brown is a pretty decent favorite though. Minus 245 is Rude Boy. Plus 200 is the Kung Fu Panda. Who you rolling with?
You know, I gotta go with my rude boy. I always ride with him. I think he's a great fighter. He gets caught on the wrong end of the wishbone stick. Two guys are battling and one has to lose, and sadly he's been coming out on the other end. But I think Rude Boy is going to dominate this fight. There's a reason why he's the favorite, and I like those odds. I mean, minus 245. That is not too bad for an older gentleman, as you know that he's fighting. So I think Rude Boy's gonna get it done. I think it's gonna be early knockout too. I think first round, maybe second. I don't see this going past the third round. I think it's gonna be very early and often though.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes Kung Fu Panda fights to decisions. I mean, most recently that fight against Dalby went the distance, but he has shown an ability to win by finish recently and lose by finish recently because the Leech absolutely slept him. So maybe Rude Boy is able to pick up a first finish in a while for himself as well because suddenly Randy Brown, he had a lot of finishes early, whether it was by submission or TKOs, but his last 4 wins have all been by decision, right? Fofal unanimous, Trinaldo unanimous, Chaos Williams was a very close split decision that he was lucky to emerge with. And then Jared the Night Train Gooden in a fight that Gooden missed weight by 16 pounds. So his last finish, Rude Boy, was against Cowboy Olives in 2021. And Cowboy Olives gets finished every single fight. So if Randy can pick up a finish in this one against Muslim, that actually would be kind of surprising to me. And if you're calling it, you're probably going to be getting some juicy odds nonetheless. But Tapology is right in alignment with the Vegas odds. 83% is rolling with Rude Boy, 17 rolling with the Panda. Beige on both sides. If you're taking Rude Boy by finish, is it early and often?
Yes, very early and often. I'm honestly predicting it in the first round, but maybe second. I don't see it going past the second round. This is gonna be a slobber knocker, fun fight. Rude Boy's coming with a sniper of a straight right, gonna knock him out. Maybe even a head kick.
Yeah, this one's tough for me because, obviously the King of Kung Fu is pretty serious on the feet, but Rude Boy is way younger. King of Kung Fu is going to be 40 this year, and Rude Boy has that 8-inch reach advantage. So hopefully he can snipe away with those long, precise, accurate strikes. But I'm with you. I'm going to take Rude Boy, but I'm going to go by decision. I just see this fight maybe being kind of close and similar to Randy Rude Boy versus Chaos Williams, where you might be a little nervous, clenched up heading into the decisions. But I'm gonna go Rude Boy by decision. Any last thoughts on this one?
No, fun fight nonetheless. This card is it's a little bit of a sleeper, but low key banger for the hardcores.
Money Moicano in the co-meet, and pretty stoked that he's getting this opportunity because this is the guy who has been in the UFC for a while now, is getting better and better. I mean, we can talk about all the YouTube stuff he's been doing and all the content he's been pushing out, and it's all good stuff, but it's been good stuff in the cage pretty recently as well because he's won 3 of his last 4. Most recently, it was very easy light work first round finish over Brad Riddell. He got that rear naked, and his only loss throughout these last couple of years was to RDA in a catchweight bout. And if we remember, Moicano basically stepped up on a couple days' notice to save a fight card, so to speak. And he went out there, he lost the fight, but he never quit. I mean, even that 5th round, it was that fight where Dos Anjos was like kind of letting him come back, but nonetheless, Moicano refused to quit and really just sort of highlighted the heart that this dude always comes into the cage with. And a guy that is also no shortage of heart is Drew Dober, his opponent, who has also won 4 of 5. He too is coming in off a nice win over Ricky Glenn. Easy performance of the night, first round finish for him. And that was good to see because the fight before that, we missed it, right? We thought Dober was going to roll through steamroller Favola. In fact, it was the opposite. Dober, the Chad, got absolutely steamrolled by Favola, but nonetheless, he rebounded, got the win over Ricky, and it's been sort of hit or miss throughout his UFC career. When you count Drew Dober out, he looks the best he's ever been, but when you count on him to win, sometimes he gets slept. So in this co-meet, me boy, do you like Moicano as a slight minus 155 favorite, or is plus 130 Chad Dober coming through?
Yeah, Chad Dober, the Crimson Chin, a legend. He's an absolute G, a big fan of him. But Money Mokano is just, I think he's on another wavelength. I think he's really been leveled up. It seems Dober's kind of plateaued, but he is a very good striker, a very good fighter. But he fights, like he even says it, like, I'm here to put on a show, I'm here to fight and have the craziest fight ever. I'm not really trying to, like, win. Like, meaning he's not going to go in there with a tactic of, like, oh, this guy's a striker, let me grapple. He's going to do exactly what he does every time. Slobber knocker, hold, pray to the Lord his crimson chin outlasts the other opponent's chin, and throw bombs. I think Mokano's going to take him down, possibly submit him. Mokano's been looking great all over. I think he's got the lengthier size, so he's going to use that as an advantage. He's more of a tacticianer and a killer. Versus Dober is a absolute meathead, crimson chin, Giga Chad, and I gotta love him. You can't hate him, but I just don't know if he's gonna win this one. I hate seeing it because I'm a big fan, but I think Manu Makana's got his number on this.
Yeah, good stuff there. And, of course, all respect to Drew Dober. We love watching Drew Dober fight. And he very much is of that Justin Gaethje, of that Michael Chandler ilk, where he's coming to stand and bang. He's trying to put on a show. He's prioritizing the fist fight and the fireworks over perhaps the victory. And sometimes that isn't an advantageous decision for the person, but for us, the viewers, it's always entertainment. And against Money Moicano, I gotta imagine that these dudes are going to put on an absolute show for sure. And this is one of those interesting ones, Meat Boys, where it's an exact even 50-50 split on Tapology. 50% rolling with Drew Dober, 50% roll with Money Moicano. And of the Dober backers, it's basically David Dobrik, all brown. They're going for the KO for the Chad over Moicano. And then conversely for Hanato, it's basically all copper for that sub. So do you buy that? Do you think that it's KO for Dober, submission for Moicano? Is someone getting finished in this one?
I think someone is going to get finished because Dober throws an absolute mean intentional bombs, while Moicano throws tacticianer, KO power kicks, knees, submissions. He throws it all, and he doesn't leave nothing behind. This will not be a lame fight. This will most likely be the fight of the night, or maybe even the finish of the night. KO submission of the night. I'm excited to see nothing but fireworks. This is a fight you don't want to miss on this card. If I had to pick any of them, this is going to be a crazy one.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm also going to be checking out the Hanato Moicano TKO odds because if we think about that UFC 297 card 2 weeks ago, Jillian Robertson fought, right? Jillian Robertson, most submissions in the UFC, and her TKO numbers were around plus 750, plus 800. But in that fight, we anticipate Jillian Robertson being able to get the fight on the ground, and then, if so, perhaps trying to make a bloody statement with the TKO as opposed to the submission. So I think Moicano might be offering something similar in the sense that if Moicano can get him down on the ground, Obviously, all the money is going to be coming in Money Moicano by submission, but maybe he does what Jillian did last week and gets a TKO on the ground, maybe capitalizes around plus 500, plus 550-ish, TKO Money Moicano odds. I think there could be some juicy life there for sure. So I'm going to go Moicano. I'm going to go by finish, statement TKO, and this is the time, Meat Boy. I mean, Money Moicano, we've seen him through his channel. We've really seen his personality start to shine. His English is obviously his English skills have just 10x essentially the last year. So to me, this could be the true Moicano moment where he gets on the mic, spits something funny, and inserts himself into these conversations. Because at lightweight, this is where Money Moicano belongs. He was a featherweight for a while, but the weight cut was too hard, and now this is his natural weight class. So Moicano, TKO finish, spits some fire on the mic, and gets himself a meat event maybe next. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 100%. If he gets a finish in spectacular fashion with the amount of content he's been pumping online and all that, I think UFC is going to kind of value him once again, reevaluate him as being okay. This guy is a superstar. He didn't just get finished and become fake bum because he's pumping offline, online, in person, streaming, IRL, whatever it is. He's been moving the needle, I guess you could say. So I could see a meat event or co-meet at least, worst case for him. But yeah, this could be a fun fight nonetheless. An absolute slobber knocker for this bout.
Yeah, we gotta get my groove on. Turn on the TV, people in the maze on. Oh yeah, baby. If you likes and me, that's the main attraction. Sticks, scissors, slams, it's time for some action. Come on, let's go. You like to say last with the boys. Oh yeah. We're in the ring, in up all the joys. Parlays from the grill, we ready to feast. Getting beat up, can you feel me? Lights and laughs with the boys. People in the rain with a real McCoy. Let's listen to the funky beat, grooving all night. If you like some beat, like some feeling all right.
Rolling in action, doing it like it is an easy reverse. Beat boy, MMA, the beef is getting thicker. Transparency, lots and lots with the boys. Subscribe for the beef and then me making some noise. Oh yeah, boy, shut out, it's a battle for the crown. Roman versus Nasty, who's gonna take it down? Luck, it's an easy rippers, they bring in the heat. Subscribe for the beef and meat, it's a tasty.
It's a meat event and hell of an opportunity for our boy Roman Dolidze to get back on track because technically he's coming into this meat event having just suffered a recent loss. It was his second loss in the UFC in total, making him 6-2 throughout his tenure. But I was at that fight, Meat Boy. I was at the O2, and a lot of people. I remember turning to my boy who I was with at this fight, and I was like, "Who do you think won that fight?" He thought that Marvin Vettori did. The guys behind me thought that Roman Dolidze did, and the entire arena seemed pretty split and confused by the ultimate verdict, which was a unanimous win for Vettori, but nonetheless, a very close fight. Sean Strickland even thought that Roman should have won that fight. So had Roman gotten the nod, he'd be on a 5-fight win streak and be 7-1 in the UFC. But nonetheless, he's coming off a recent loss, and he's coming up against Nasruddin Imavov, who himself is 4-2-1 in the UFC. This guy came out blazing, right? He'd won 4 of his first 5. His only loss was a kind of concerning one to Phil Hawes, but that was before Phil Hawes' chin self-destructed. And it's been a little bit rough for Imavov as far as the results are concerned. He lost to Sean Strickland, unanimous decision. That was, however, a light heavyweight scrap and one where Imavov was having to fight Sean Strickland on essentially a few days' notice and in an unfamiliar weight class for both of them. And then most recently, he fought his teammate Chris Curtis, and he was looking great in that fight, right? He was really sort of dominating Chris Curtis, but then there was the accidental clash of heads. Chris Curtis was unable to continue. Some thought he sort of found a sneaky way out of a fight that he was losing, but nonetheless, it's a no contest on the record for Imavov. So what are your thoughts on this one? Imavov is around minus 166. Your boy Roman plus 140, but Tapology's seeing something different, and 58% is rolling Dolidze to 42 for the Russian sniper. So you're taking Imavov or you're going with Roman Dolidze?
You know, this is such a sick fight. I'm a big fan of both, but I gotta go with the Georgia brother. I mean, when a Georgia brother is a dog, you know that is cashing. So roll with Roman. He's been looking absolutely absurd. I don't know how he's not a favorite by like plus 400, but love to see it. So this is going to be a domination from beginning to end. Roman Dolidze is future champ. He is the GOAT, and he's coming for the strap.
Yeah, I believe it was 2020, a wise Thermopylae. Rest in peace, Thermopylae. Haven't seen him since, but he once told us in the very origins, the beginnings, the humble beginnings of Meat Boy MMA to never bet against a Georgian underdog. And that's precisely what you're getting for the Caucasian Roman Dolidze in this one. But I do want to dig a little bit deeper, Meat Boy, because I mean, we love what we've seen from Roman Dolidze, right? This guy is an absolute tank. He can strike, he can take you down, he can hold you down, but I'm looking, and I mean, the dude's gonna be 36 years old this year. Meanwhile, Imavov is only 27. Imavov's gonna be bigger. The reach is essentially the same, and Imavov's been training at the MMA Factory with all those killers. So, are there any of the intangibles that kind of scare you a little bit, or are you that bullish on Roman and he's about to peak? And I mean, you mentioned title fight. Is he really knocking on the door?
I think with Izzy gone, he is knocking on that door. I mean, he's got absolute meat bombs. He's got insane jiu-jitsu. The dude's a freak of nature, an absolute specimen. He is like 23 going on 50. Dude looks like he's 50, but he's somehow maybe in his 20s. I think he's like 30 something, but beside the point, the dude just looks like a veteran, grizzled grizzly man. He is built different. These Georgia brothers are built different. I mean, Ilia Topuria is an absolute savage. This guy is basically his big brother, but 10 times the size. So just imagine Ilia Topuria, but with 200 pounds of muscle. That's what you get. You get this Georgia brother. And when you're a dog, you know that's cashing.
He is a beast for sure. I guess one thing though, just to sort of push back slightly, that does make me nervous is, I mean, let's just inspect the Roman Dolidze wins in the UFC. Beats Kadis Ibragimov, aka who's that? John Allen, split decision. Loriano Staropoli, for show. Kyle Dawkins, that was sweet. He shattered his face. Great win, but it's Kyle Dawkins. And then beat Phil Haas with a broken chin and finished Jack Hermanson. So it's like, those are some sweet finishes. The outcomes were nice, but are the caliber of opponents on that Imavov level? And similarly, if we play that same game with the Russian sniper, here are some of his wins. Ian Heinisch, not bad. Edmund Shabazian, fate kind of getting good again, and Joaquin Buckley, who does have a lot of wins in the UFC. So when we just break down competition for competition, Meat Boy, I love Roman Dolidze, but I gotta fade Thermopylae. Thermopylae faded the Meat Boys, so I'm fading him. I'm fading never bet against a Georgian underdog, and I'm doing precisely that because Thermopylae is Dunzo Balunzo, and I think against Imavov, Roman Dolidze is Dunzo Balunzo too. I worry about what Roman's going to look like in the fourth and fifth round if it gets there, and while yes, Imavov didn't look great in the late rounds against Strickland, he does have 5 round experience, so I anticipate Imavov surviving the first dangerous 7 minutes and then all Russian sniper from that point forward. So I'm taking Imavov. I'm fading Thermopylae. I'm fading Tapology. I'm fading meat, but I gotta go with the Russian sniper on this one. Am I tripping?
No, not at all. Russian Sniper is definitely a G. If it was anyone but the Georgia brother, I would be picking him. I can't go against the Dolidze. I've never not picked the Dolidze, and that is my Georgia brethren. And when they're a dog, they usually cash, so I'm gonna ride it out, and we'll see if Thermopylae's, theory is correct. So throw in the comments, is Thermopylae tripping, or do the Georgia brothers cash when they're slipping?
You know.